guys, and welcome in today's episode where I will be featuring, well, that guy right there, which is the Sapphire. Plus, this is the 7800 XT that I think it's a killer card for this price point. So design-wise, well, I would say that this is quite a nice looking GPU. Although don't get fooled by the fact that this all white, it's plastic right here on the front. So of course you come with all, well, plastic fans on the front here. 3 120mm fans on the front with an outer case which is made out of plastic for the front. Now, well, moving on to the sides here, you have a Sapphire logo, so this does light up and it's actually looking pretty nice once it is installed in the case. See this a little bit later on in the video. And well, basically I like the fact with, well, of course, the back is made out of aluminum, as it should be. It should be a well dissipating, or I should say good dissipating medium for that well, thermal output. And of course, aluminum is going to do a much better job than, well, plastic. The cutouts, well, the cutouts look actually quite decent. I like the way that this cutout design it is made. It is actually looking rather nice and fancy. And I pretty much like the way that they have implemented this design with the, well, I should say overall capacity of heat dissipation for this card. Don't get me wrong, I do think that this cooler is actually a bit overrated and should be doing a very good and stellar job at keeping this card cool. That's because, well, its TDP, it's only of 270 watts. And, well, you know, at 270 watts, it shouldn't be outputting too much heat to start with. But yeah, it is what it is. I do like triple slots GPUs. So if you're wondering if this will actually fit your PC case, well, this is pretty much a standard triple slot GPU right there. So the length basically of it, it's of, well, 320mm, starting like that. If you are wondering about the height, once it is installed inside your case, this is about 52mm right here. And of course, well, you still had the width there, which is 129mm measuring from here to here. So that's, well, basically it in a nutshell. Now, what you get with this GPU right here? Well, you get two 8-pin connectors. That's pretty nice and standard to see. I pretty much love to see cards with this 8-pin connector because, well, NVIDIA's just happened to be a overall, how do I put it lightly? A circus show with its new power connector. So let's see what you get with the display capabilities of this card right here. Well, you basically get two HDMI 2.1A ports right here. And of course, you get some display ports, which are 2.1 as well. This is the new 2.1 standard for DisplayPort. That's pretty nice to see from this Navi 32 GPU right here. But what about the capabilities of such nice looking GPU right here? Well, you get a base clock of 1300 megahertz with a game clock sitting up just shy of 2200 megahertz. And you can also get a boost out of it of around 2500 megahertz, which is actually quite impressive. This sits on a Navi 32 architecture from AMD, and of course, well, the processor size is of 5 nanometers, if that means anything to you. More importantly, I think it is to mention the TDP, which is sitting at 270 watts, and they actually recommend you a 600 watts overall PSU to power this behemoth right here. And yeah, that's more or less all that you get with it. And with all of this now out of the way, let's jump in, install it, and see it in action. Alright, so here we have the first title, which is Hogwarts Legacy. So, let's just jump into the settings here and see exactly where we are. First of all, the resolution is close to 4K because this is what the monitor game natively supports. Let's just go on in here and use the upscaler type to AMD FSR 2. FSR on quality because this is what I would expect out of this GPU. Let's set the sharpness all the way to the right here. And yes, motion blur, depth of field, all that stuff is set to on. Right, everything is set to ultra here except for the ray tracing and, well, reflection shadows and ambient occlusion. Let's just see how this, well, puppy here can handle this game as is. It looks sharp. It looks good. Right here we're hovering, well, we're just hovering there just above 60 to 70, 80 FPS. It just jumps all over the place there. But anyway, it's rather smooth. There's no lag, there's no stutterness. The game runs rather smooth, and that's really nice to see. As you can see right here, the utilization jumps anywhere in between to 80 to 90, 95%, 96 occasionally, and we are just around 2450 megahertz, which is the rated capability of this gaming GPU right here. And it's using around 240 watts of power, which is actually quite nice to see. Alright, so here we have Forspoken running basically at max settings, or as high as they would go. First of all, yes, the same resolution, close to 4K, as you can see right here. The VSync is off. And for graphical, well, we have basically everything set to high and ultra high as much as it would go. And for the start of all things said and done, we are just going to leave the FSR3 to off. Be sure, if you are having any sort of resolution, or I should say any rendering problems and high lag and stuttering in the game, to turn off dynamic resolution, as this will basically make the game run far worse than it actually can. And well, it's you know, this is what it is. You are running at around 40 to 50 FPS, or shy of 50 FPS right there. The game runs absolutely buttery smooth. Everything is rather nice. And as you can see, well, the temperatures are well in check for this GPU. We're running, you know, some 250 watts of power, which is actually quite decent, and around 97% utilization for this GPU, which is absolutely okay. Let's just jump into the settings here and change it up and enable FSR, because this is an enabled FSR3 title right now that basically can't support it. And let's just first turn it off to, well, native AA, and then we're just gonna go up through the settings here, and let's see how the game runs now. Alright, we have basically just doubled our FPS for nothing. Yeah, from 45 shy to 50 FPS, we are now just shy, or just around 80 FPS in game. It still runs buttery smooth, no stutters, no lags, absolutely runs okay, and everything seems to be well in check and in order for this title with FSR3 running on native AA. And what about quality presets? Okay, let's just enable quality here. And yeah, there we go. Quality, everything's set to high, it remains the same. So let's see. Wow. Just take a look at that FPS meter. Okay, so right now we're just over 120 FPS. So from the 45 FPS we started with without FSR3, and then the 80 or so FPS with native AA, we have just, well, we are shy of 130 FPS. Here we have everybody's favorite Cyberpunk 2077, the Phantom Liberty 2.1 update, and let's see what settings we have in here. Basically, we are running AMD Super Resolution 2.1 on, of course, the same display right here, which is close to 4K, running at full screen, as you can see, with the VSync off there. And basically everything except the ray tracing is off, and everything else is set to as high and ultra, so the settings are as high as possibly being set already. And the preset here for the super resolution is set to quality. Alright, so this gets us what? Well, this gets us around 80 FPS for a game that looks rather nice. The game runs rather smooth. No lag, no jitters, no stutters, no nothing. Everything is running very nicely here, as you all can see. The GPU is doing its thing there. There we go. We're sitting at around 98% utilization with some 250 or so watts being used by the GPU. So I would say this title running at close to 4K with everything set on Ultra is running rather nicely for this 7800 XT with the FSR. So guys, should you get this 7800 XT right here? Well, I will let you be the final judge for that, because, you know, price-wise, I've seen this in the United States go for around 550 to 560 USD, while here in Europe you can get it for around $600 on Case King as it is today. But definitely for that money, you are getting quite a lot of performance out of this. I mean, you are getting 16 gigabytes of, you know, GDDR6 non-X memory, which should be more than plenty for today's title, and definitely probably for next year's titles as well. And not only that, but I do love the fact that you are getting the new DisplayPort technology right here, the 2.1, that basically allows you to get, you know, insane amount of frame rates, but probably not out of this hardware that it's attached to. But definitely it is nice that you have it with this card. I, well, you know, would have loved to see this being made out of aluminum, but for the price point, you're only getting plastic. But you do get aluminum on the back here. The cooling is more than adequate for this card. Not only that, but well, I am a true and overall believer in traditional stuff. So I do like to see the fact that this comes with 8-pin connectors. I mean, after the whole NVIDIA fiasco with the power connector, I'm still surprised that people go and buy the 4090, even though the internet is like full of negative reviews and people trying to get their RMAs for that one. So yeah, I like to see, you know, a traditional style plug for the power connector, and this definitely will give you the extra peace of mind knowing that this will run fairly nice and fairly efficient. Not only that, but of course you are getting around 250 watts of power draw from this card, so that shouldn't be an issue from the get-go. But there is one other nice thing that I saw with this card, and that's definitely the performance. Could you game with it at 4K? Definitely you could game at 4K full settings there, like you have seen in Cyberpunk. But there is something that you are getting extra with this card in comparison to Nvidia, and that is access to FSR3, which basically will double or triple the performance depending on the AAA game that will enable this feature and how well it's optimized for that. While in the same time with Nvidia, you know, you'd have to upgrade to a 40 series cards in order to get access to DLSS. With AMD cards, you would basically get, you know, free performance on the table for the same amount of money you would spend for the hardware. Alright guys, let me know your thoughts and comments about this 7800 XT. Would you buy this, or what else would you buy for the same amount of money or power right here? I'm pretty interested in your answers, as I always am, and I always go through each and every one of the comments. So until next time, see you guys, stay awesome, and peace out. Guys, I know you are so kind of awesome, and you know, you could do me a solid by just hitting that subscribe button down there. It's free and it basically helps the channel out a lot. If you did like this review, don't forget to leave your thoughts and comments down in the box below. Would you buy something like this 7800 XT right here, or would you buy something else? And what do you think about its overall looks and performance for the price point? Thank you guys so much for choosing to watch today's video, and until next time, stay awesome and be cool.